Okay, good afternoon and welcome to my demonstration. My name is Stuart Beck and I'm here to give you a bit of a run through this tool that I've been creating for my dissertation. So the title of the dissertation itself is Integrating AI with Reconnaissance within a penetration test. To sum it up, I've created a Python script that is used to incorporate artificial intelligence using OpenAI's API to call their own large language model and use it within my own tool, which is built into the terminal. Just a simple little Python script, there's not much to it, and I've tried to keep it simple for the user because I'm hoping for it to bridge a gap at the minute, because between the research studies and things like that are out there at the minute for penetration testing, there isn't any real developments sort of program application wise. So I thought that I would make this, and it's been a great passion project for me as well. So I'll give you a run through, we'll go step by step all the way through the program. So here I'm inside of the working directory for the project itself. I'll make that quickly full screen for you. So you can see here, simple Python script, ReconnAI.py, and then we've got this install requirements.sh. So that's just a shell script that I've created that's going to install any of the dependencies for the application. There is a few, given that we're incorporating the sub-processing library and how we're then leveraging that to have our own tools run inside of the Python script itself. So with sub-processing itself, I'll give you a quick description. It basically relies on any binary that's already existent on the file system, and we basically call that inside the program. So say I have SQL map installed on this, if I can spell, on this computer itself, on this file system, I could then call that with sub-processing because it's there and it's there to be called as if it's another OS command, and I'm just typing it into a shell like this. So I shall go through here and I will show you the beginning of the tool. Put password in. So first things first, this install requirements will be called just to make sure that all the dependencies are met, and if there's any updates that need to be done, it'll do them. So I'll quickly show you that. I will exit out of here. So it does an apt-get update. Just make sure everything's up to date before it starts installing stuff, so you've got the right versions to start yourself off. And then it'll have a look at all the libraries through the pip libraries and the installed tools here. So this is where sub-processing being called. And then it goes through and double checks that everything's installed correctly and shows the versions for them as well. So with sub-processing and these tools, so these tools must exist on the file system itself. I did look into using APIs for this sort of thing, but there wasn't enough APIs out there to make it a universal thing, like a unified method. It was more of the case of having a nice Nmap API, but for nothing else. So I thought of going sub-processing, and it's nice and easy. It just means that someone's going to have it installed. Which in penetration tests you would hope they would already have that sort of thing met anyways. So once this is done, it jumps straight into the home screen for the application itself. You see we've got the splash screen, which is quite nicely done because it changes every time that you start up the program. So it checks for the API key, which you provide in the source code itself through a config file. That will be then checked inside of the AI key function. So it has to be hard-coded at the minute. I am looking into ways to maybe set environment variables if that's something that will be accessible to users. But for now, it works perfect for my testing. So as you can see from top to bottom here, we've got 1 till 5, and just like these tools we mentioned here, that's the predefined tools inside of here. So to start off with, I decided to pick a handful of tools I knew were useful and what I've used before in penetration tests. Starting with Nmap and going all the way down, and these are all great reconnaissance and sort of tools. And I would say SQL map, although it's not necessarily a primary reconnaissance tool, it was something that I thought, again, for testing reasons, it would be good to try out. SQL map is more of a SQL injection script that's used. It's automation script to discover any SQL vulnerabilities within a web server. Fantastic tool. So, but it can also do exploits. So it's not a fully integrated reconnaissance tool. It will find them, but usually you'll only use it if you're aware that there's some sort of SQL vulnerability there. So we'll jump straight in, and I'll quickly do an Nmap scan. Press 1 from the menu, and so this will be the predefined area of the tool itself, and it's going to take a modular approach to the execution of the scripts and stuff, rather than what I'll show you later with this use your own. So first things first, the output file has to be created. So this output file is simply just there to pass through to the AI. That's it. It does save it onto your file system, so you can look back at it if you want to, but it's not really where the juicy detail is going to be once you've got your AI interpretation. So for this sake, we'll just do out.txt, and even if you don't supply an extension, it'll put one on for you. So we get enter target IP. I'll just quickly run one on my local host right here, and then enter port, so you could put whatever you want really, whether it's port 80, you can comma separate them as well, just as you would with Nmap. You can do ranges, so 80 to 8080 for instance, or by default you can just let it do every port, which is what I've got set up. So if someone wants to just do a quick, nice full scan of all the ports, then just press enter. The options as well, same sort of thing. If you don't want to supply anything, it'll give you a decent enough general sort of option of flags, and included in that is the service scan, the script scan, and verbosity level. So we'll go through and we'll just let it do its thing, and I'll get back to you when it's finished. Okay, there we go. So we see that the Nmap scan's completed, and now it's going to generate the AI interpretation. And so starting from the top, we've got our whole scan itself, and from our own look here we can see we've got a port 6463 open with the service unknown. I'm not too sure what this is, to be honest. This is just on my local host, and as we can see there's not really much going on with it. I mean, it doesn't even pick up what service it is, so it's nothing really interesting. But this would look very different in a CTF or a live application. You'd be looking for other ports, web servers, SSH servers, FTPs, all that sort of stuff, depending on the platform itself. You've got some sort of string association going on over here. So we'll have a look. It's going to send this all through to the AI, and then it's going to interpret it and give us it back in the terminal. So starting from the top here, we can see that it's performed the Nmap scan, how many ports it's done, on which target it was, which IP address. It found this port. But you know, there's nothing really going on with this because it's just a local host and there's nothing really on it. But we'll save that, and then here on the bottom you can see this text box, and it says choose a name for your results file, and then to try out the HTML. And then the HTML area is something that I added, basically a conditional to check for the file type, and if the file type matches HTML, it will append HTML to it, and then you'll have your nice little styled web page as well. Currently just a local sort of thing. I wouldn't mind looking into getting something online, like a hosted, but for now, again, works perfect for my testing. But future development wise, I wouldn't mind getting something online. So you can see here, get to scan results, parses them all in, and then we've got our generation down here, which is the AI generated content. And there is little nicks with the styling because I've had to do this all in Python. Yes, HTML in Python, not my idea of fun. But we'll go through, we'll go back to the tool menu. So I'm going to skip the total 5 now because they are the same sort of premise. It's a modular approach to each of these tools, and they'll do the same thing but just in the context of whatever script is running. So we'll go down and we'll have a look at this cleanup logs. So this was just a bit of a saving grace for me during development because there was so many logs that were being created when I was testing. So I created this to try and help me clean everything up when I'm done. So we'll go into the working directory, and it's going to list everything that I've got. And it's only going to list the files that it thinks are log files. So you're not going to run a risk of deleting the source code like the actual project itself or anything else off your disk. It specifically looks in that directory only for log files. So not to worry about that. In the deletion itself, the cleanup, it uses more like an exclusion method rather than just like saying which one you want to delete. So I'll show you now, but say I don't want to delete ipa.html, which is number 2. I shall do number 2, and oh, looks like I don't want to do number 7 either. And I'll just do that. Do you want to delete 8 files? So obviously it's excluding those 2 that I've got. I'll click yes, and then they're deleted. Go back to the tool menu, and that's it done. And that works the same way for the logs directory as well. So for the use your own, like I mentioned before, I like to reference this as bring your own binary, because as the name suggests, you can supply your own binary and it'll run it as if it's in its own shell and still pipe out the output to OpenAI, which really does give the tool a lot of versatility. I really enjoy using this, and it was mainly a testing thing why it got implemented. It was more for time's sake rather than having to wait for a full scan to finish for me to test out something with the AI. I could just put something simple like an IPA, and then it would be quickly over and done, and then I'd be able to see what the AI is doing. But you can put anything you want to here, as long as it's on the file system, because it's using sub-processing again. You can run it. So this hopefully gives a bit more extensibility to any more professional or senior penetration testers, or anyone that's just a little bit more well versed and doesn't need the structure to sort of guide them through, or even if there's not any tools that they tend to use or they want to use that are on here. So again, output file, which is called output.txt, and then enter the command that you want to execute. We'll just do nmap again, just to keep it simple. Do some script scans and some version scans. We'll just do on the first 1000 ports on the local host. So this is almost the same scan as what we had before. However, I'm not doing all 65,000 ports. It's just the first 1000. We've seen the 65,000, so I don't really need to do it. And there, it didn't even see the port that we found before because it was out of range. So then again, it's gonna generate the interpretation, and it's gonna give it back to us. And it does sometimes like to give it a nice little conclusion at the end. The style in itself is a little bit tentative sometimes, but the delivery of the results itself and what it comes back with contextual to the scan, it tends to be really on point at the minute. So here it's giving some recommendations about misconfigurations and pre-existing CVEs. Obviously it didn't find anything, so it's just sort of telling me what I could look for at this point, and as well as exploitation tools that it might want to recommend to me. A little conclusion at the end. Yeah, so we'll head back now. I didn't mean to save that, but we'll do it anyways. HTML. Okay, and it's not gonna. Oh, it does open it. Okay, sweet. I've got a little issue at the minute where if the web browser is already open, it doesn't like to open a new tab. So I need to work on that. So the final tool, final feature, should I say, a part of this tool is the AI assistant. So this is more of a, like it says here, like a Q&A. So you can deliver it any information that you've got, whether you've done your own manual assessment on a host, and you've got some information that you don't really know what you want to do with, and you want some help with it. You can put it all into here, and it'll work it out for you and try and help you. It's just something to consolidate with the AI. It's also just like talking to the AI in your browser. But I thought it was handy to have it here as well. So I'll show you this now, and I mean, you can ask it anything you want, whether it's the meaning of life. What is the meaning of life? Meaning of life. So it doesn't even have to be about cybersecurity, but it's the context for the prompt is more focused towards cybersecurity, but it will tell you anything it wants. So yes, and it's got history with the conversation as well, so it'll keep in context to anything that you've been doing, or any conversation that you've been having, sorry. So if I say, what was my last question, it should come back. What is the meaning of life? So say if you're doing a target and you're doing your own scans in a different terminal, or you've got this open in another terminal, you could be feeding it information and sort of building up on that there. And currently using the GPT 3.5 Turbo 16K model, which does have quite a good conversation sort of history. I've noticed with some other models that don't really remember too well, but this one, it works good. So I'm going to quit out of this AI bit now, and you can use any one of these three tags here. So you can use exit, queue, or quit to get out of here. I'll quickly use queue. No, I don't want to save it, and then we're back in the menu. And so that's a brief rundown of what it's doing. In the future, I'm planning some more developments, like I say, about the cloud-hosted results and things like that. But so far, this is where I'm at, and I hope you enjoyed it. So thank you very much for listening.